Star Trek Online has fixed the set omnis from the Crystal Harmonics and Protostar sets, meaning that they now have the usual set omni restrictions, and let's talk about that, because I'm pretty upset about it, and you should be too. So while I was working on the Dauntless 2 video, some patch notes went live on Star Trek Online's Twitter. These are the patch notes for the October 5th patch, and they go over some, light things. It's not a big patch, but there is something very much of note that I want to talk about. With this patch, all versions of the following items now currently share equip limits with set omnis. This means they can be equipped with non-set omnis at the same time now. These items are the omnidirectional interlacing Tetryon beam array from the Looming Threats event, and the omnidirectional Protostar phaser beam array from the Do You Believe in a No-Win Scenario event from August of 2023. That's right, the one thing that made either of these Omni-beams of any interest at all, being able to pair them with another set Omni, is now being patched out. This is especially annoying for the Tetryon beam, because if you go over to the Looming Threats blog post and you go down to where the Tetryon beam is, it literally says on here, this weapon shares an equip limit with other crafted and weapon pack Omni-beams. So it was literally advertised as being able to be paired with other set Omnis. And yet now they're patching that out, despite the fact that it was in the official blog post. Now, they didn't say the same thing for the Protostar set Omni in the Protostar sets blog, but honestly, this blog was so vague, it's hard to say if they were saying anything at all. But the description for the Omni-beam does say this phaser is a standard omnidirectional phaser, with the new visuals based on the Protostar from Star Trek Prodigy. So it is advertised as a standard omnidirectional beam, so you could infer that this functions like a standard crafted or lockbox Omni-beam. I know, this one's a bit of a stretch, but like I said, this blog description is so vague, honestly, you could assume anything here, because they said literally nothing about this thing. But for the Tetryon beam, it literally says it right here, and the other really annoying thing about this is that this is not a recent event. I mean, this blog post was posted on May 4th. So for nearly 3 months now, this set has been in the game. People have used dilithium or ultimate tech upgrades to upgrade that Omni-beam. People have built builds around this set, and now Cryptic is just going to come along and say, oops, never mind. Now, I'm not here to say I'm surprised, because I'm certainly not. It's not like Cryptic hasn't done this thing before. I mean, we all remember what happened with the Agony Redistributor console, but the really annoying thing about this, to me, is that they are enforcing restrictions that make zero sense whatsoever. Ever since omnidirectional beams were first introduced into Star Trek Online, they've always been restricted so that you can only use one from a set and one that's not from a set on your build. I mean, you can only get a maximum of 2 on any build that you have. And frankly, that restriction has always been really stupid in my opinion. Omnidirectional beams have a 360-degree firing arc, which most weapons don't have, and that might make them sound really unique if it weren't for the fact that turrets are also a thing, and Omni-beams are basically just the beam version of turrets. Turrets, however, unlike Omni-beams, have no restrictions at all. You can put as many of them as you want on a build. Doesn't matter if one of them is in a set or not, you can just put as many as you want. Most of the set turrets are marked as unique weapons, so you can only put one of those on a build, but it doesn't stop you from putting another turret from another set on it at the same time. I've never understood why Cryptic decided to restrict Omni-beams the way they do, because it's not like they're very powerful weapons either. They do less damage than your standard beam array. The only advantage that they have is that they can fire in a 360-degree arc. If beam weapons had some sort of advantage over cannons, it might make sense, but they really don't. In fact, it's usually the reverse. Cannons often are much more powerful than beam weapons in most situations. Now, like I said earlier, Omni-beams on their own are really not that powerful. That's the whole thing about weapons in Star Trek Online. The wider their arc, the less powerful they usually are. That's actually true on both beams and cannons. But yeah, I don't understand why these restrictions exist when removing them wouldn't hurt anything. If anything, it would provide greater flexibility for those running beam builds. Anyone running a forward-facing beam build, like with dual beam banks, they're always screwed in the aft weapon slots, especially if they're running on a 4-forward ship, because you only have the option of 2 Omni-beams. So then, for those last 2 slots, you got, the board cutting beam and, I guess, a turret, which isn't great. Because if you're running a beam overload build or a fire at will build, that turret isn't going to be affected by that firing mode. So that weapon is basically going to be doing nothing but filling up that weapon slot. Even on 5.3 layouts, it's still not ideal because I would gladly take an Omni-beam over the board cutting beam. So yeah, overall, this video, it's not so much a call to reverse these changes made to these two set Omnis. It's more of a call to just remove the restrictions entirely because, like I said, they make no sense whatsoever, and enforcing them, it doesn't serve the game anything. If anything, all it does is serve to continue to limit players. So yeah, hopefully someone at Cryptic is listening to this, and if not, then we just need to be louder. Normally, this is when I would say to let me know what you guys think down in the comments below, but in this situation, it's really more important that you let Cryptic know what you guys think about this. So post on the forums, tag them on Twitter, let them know what you think about this. Though I can't stress this last part enough, be respectful when you do so, just being loud and angry isn't going to solve anything. So yeah, anyway, my name's Stu, and hopefully something gets done about this, because frankly, kind of tired of it.